Welcome to your November 2021 horoscope. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that you watch your horoscope for your ascendant sign first and foremost because it will be the most accurate for you overall. Having said that, if you've got time to watch your sun and moon sign horoscopes as well, go for it, because the sun sign horoscope will tell you more about your life goals and your career, whereas the moon sign horoscope will pertain more to your living circumstances and your family life. Now, I've got an exciting announcement to make. I am putting together 2022 horoscopes for all 12 zodiac signs. So these horoscopes will be super in-depth and you'll be able to purchase yours on sale if you buy during November or in the first 2 weeks of December. So these will retail for $16.99 US, but you'll be able to purchase yours on sale during that period of time for just $12.99. So please make sure you are subscribed to the channel and checking the website regularly, because there will be an announcement once these are available for sale. And now let's dive into the November horoscopes. Hi Aries Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your November 2021 horoscope. Before I get into your horoscope for the month, I want to try something a little bit different and pull an animal oracle card just to see what additional advice I can give you for this month. Okay, we've got the Nightingale. So this is all about using your voice and not being afraid to speak up. The nightingale bird is renowned for its beautiful singing voice. So it seems like a lot of you Aries will have a very special message that you need to deliver. And I just want to say, don't be afraid to do so this month. Your voice will definitely carry and people will be listening to what you have to say. Now, on the 30th of October, yes, at the end of the previous month, we saw Mars entering the sign of Scorpio. So with Mars being in the other sign that it naturally rules for the whole of November, this will really strengthen your determination and your ability to follow through on your plans. Mars is in dignity in Scorpio, and Scorpio is obviously a water sign. So this is about having very deep, strong emotions and powerful desires that you are trying to act on and basically see through to some kind of fruition. With Mars transiting your 8th house of mutual resources, there will be an immense focus on this area of life for you. So the 8th house being connected to mutual resources means that you, Mars representing yourself, will be putting a lot of energy and effort into things like financial planning, seeing a broker. You may be investigating how you can procure an inheritance that is rightfully yours, or perhaps you are drawing up a will or an inheritance for yourself. On a different note, the 8th house also rules over taxes, spousal maintenance, alimony, and child support. So you may be researching how you can go about enacting those things, or perhaps you are doing some deep research into these matters because you may have plans for what you want to initiate down the track. Now, the 8th house is also connected to private investigation and deep research, and honestly anything which is secretive in nature. So maybe you're doing a bit of digging into someone in your life, or perhaps this is with respect to a partner. Maybe you're considering whether certain things are adding up and you just want to get your ducks in a row and make sure that you have all of the information. Now, given that the sun will also be in your 8th house, and then on the 7th of November, Mercury will be joining the sun and Mars in the 8th house, we can see that the 8th house is completely activated for you guys. Pretty much all of your focus will be on 8th house matters. Now, the 8th house also rules over psychology and anything which is esoteric and occult in nature. So maybe you are looking into seeing a psychologist during this time, or perhaps you're becoming more introspective yourself, and maybe you're trying to get to the root cause of some kind of issue that you have, especially if this pertains to your health, given that Mercury rules over your 6th house, which represents your physical health. Now, on the 4th or the 5th of November, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Scorpio at 12 degrees in the 8th house, and it will be in a wide conjunction with your ruling planet, which is Mars. This new moon will also be in exact opposition with Uranus in Taurus in your 2nd house, and it will be making a square to Saturn in Aquarius in your 11th house. So lots of hard aspects are going on with this new moon, which show that there's just a little bit of pressure on a certain decision that you need to make, or on a new chapter that is beginning in your life. Given that this new moon is occurring in your 8th house, you may be wanting to start some kind of new sexual relationship, or perhaps you have initiated one, or you've got a very close, intimate relationship going on with another person, and there's someone in your life who doesn't really agree with your actions. Now, this new moon in your 8th house can see you wanting to proceed with some kind of surgery or procedure. Now, this could involve something drastic, and that could be a vasectomy, a hysterectomy. This could involve plastic surgery or some kind of artificial enhancement, or perhaps this is a gender reassignment surgery. Now, another way that this new moon in your 8th house can play out is that you may be getting involved in some kind of deep research pertaining to a conspiracy theory, or perhaps it's your involvement in some kind of secret affair, or maybe you're joining some kind of secret group that has an initiation process or some kind of hazing process. The 8th house also rules over things to do with the esoteric, anything occult, anything spiritual in nature. So if you're getting into things like astrology and tarot and all that good stuff, there may be someone in your life who is trying to get you to pump the brakes. So with Uranus in your 2nd house, this shows that this individual could be a family member, and that is because the 2nd house is also connected to family. It's not just the 4th house in astrology. Now, with Uranus ruling over your 11th house, which represents your wider network and friends, and with this square to Saturn in Aquarius in your 11th house, maybe there's an old friend who is trying to tell you not to go ahead with something. Maybe they're being extremely forceful or severe in their approach. This could be an older sibling who you really respect, or this could be a paternal aunt or uncle, and maybe they were kind of like a grandparent figure to you. The important thing to note with this new moon in Scorpio is that you have all the power, and that is because Mars is in dignity in Scorpio and it is your ruling planet. This indicates that whatever you're trying to do, whether it involves a new sexual relationship, whether this involves combining your mutual resources with another person, undergoing some kind of procedure or surgery, or, basically pursuing spousal maintenance or alimony or child support or an inheritance, whatever it is that you're trying to do, you will be successful because Mars in Scorpio has incredible drive, and being a fixed sign, this shows your ability to follow through in whatever it is that you are trying to pursue. Now, given that new moons indicate a new chapter beginning, this doesn't need to indicate that you guys are doing this tomorrow or like the day of the new moon. It could be that you're putting these plans into motion and you're not going to act on them for another 6 months or for another 18 months. Now, on the 10th of November, Mars and Mercury will be exactly conjunct in Scorpio at 7 degrees. And of course, this will still be in your 8th house. So Mars represents what you're doing, and it is also connected to having an action plan, having a strategy, initiating something, and going after something. Mercury is all about your communication abilities. It represents communication on the whole, and it also represents having a new idea. Okay, so this could be connected to what you want to investigate, what you want to write, what you want to do for work. And I say that because conjunctions in the 8th house represent giving birth to something, because the 8th house is connected to death and rebirth. Now, with this action plan that you are initiating, this could be about you investigating something, researching something, forming a small group in private that other people don't know about. Maybe you're forming an alliance with your colleagues or with certain employees that you have. Now, this could be to do with mutual resources. And once again, that's because the 8th house rules over mutual resources. Maybe you are not happy with how much other people are earning in the workplace. Maybe your employees haven't been honest and forthright with you about what their financial needs are. In any case, with this conjunction occurring in your 8th house, you will certainly have investigative powers that are beyond reproach, because you will just be able to intuitively look into the areas where things are amiss, or where you know that things aren't adding up, and so more research needs to be done. Now, for some of you, you could simply be starting a new work project, or you could be starting a new job in one of these following industries, or perhaps you're switching departments. So the 8th house is connected to investigative journalism, being a private investigator, sex work, being a funeral director or working at a funeral home. The 8th house is of course connected to taxes, wills, inheritances, financial planning, and on the medical front, it's connected to being a surgeon, a psychologist, or a healer, and an astrologer or a tarot reader. So maybe you are having new ideas with regard to these areas. You don't necessarily need to be starting your first day on the job in one of those industries, but you could be having an idea about a writing project or a documentary, or what you want to do for a YouTube channel, or you could be collaborating with people who work in those industries who are going to help you in some way. Now, on the 14th of November, we will see Mercury in Scorpio in your 8th house, opposing Uranus in Taurus in your 2nd house. A few days later, on the 18th, we're going to see Mars in Scorpio, also opposing Uranus in Taurus. So I'm going to interpret these two transits together and basically give you a range of different ways that this can play out for you. Uranus represents anything which happens suddenly, and it also is connected to the idea of divorcing something or being separated from something. So because this is involving your 2nd house of your personal finances and resources and your 8th house of mutual resources, you may need to sell off a valuable or a possession in order to cash in and put this money towards an investment opportunity. Now, with Mercury ruling over your 3rd house of technology and sales and paperwork, you may be selling a vehicle. And of course, anything that you are selling at this time can actually sell quite quickly. Okay, you'll have buyers coming up out of nowhere. Mercury, Mars, and Uranus are the 3 planets which are connected to rapid change and things moving in a very fast fashion. So with Uranus ruling over your 11th house of social media and your wider network, and with it just generally speaking representing the internet, whatever you want to sell, putting it out on a social media platform will be the quickest and most efficient way for you to part with this item. Now, Uranus in Taurus and certainly the 11th house are connected to cryptocurrencies. So you may be cashing in your shares, and maybe you are selling off certain cryptocurrencies. Now, you may be making decisions on behalf of other people who you have combined your resources with. And I say that because Mercury and Mars are in your 8th house of mutual resources, and Mercury ruling over your 3rd house represents what you were doing on behalf of your colleagues, your siblings, your relatives, anyone that you're on a team with. And, if you're at school, this also represents your schoolmates and your friends. So perhaps you have combined your resources, whether this is with cryptocurrency or currencies or gold, or even just your finances as a whole. Maybe you are needing to make some very hard and fast decisions which are going to affect the group at large. Now, an investment opportunity certainly could arise with this particular opposition. Maybe you need to dip into your mutual resources as shown by Mercury and Mars in your 8th house in order to invest in something personally for yourself, as represented by Uranus and Taurus in your 2nd house. This could involve you investing further into cryptocurrencies or investing into something like artificial food or genetically modified farming. And I say that because Taurus is connected to food, it is connected to the 5 senses, and Uranus represents something which is very artificial. So if you're putting those two tropes together, you can come up with a number of different things that this could pertain to. In any case, some of you may just be investing in new tech, which is related to practical everyday matters, which would be represented by Taurus. So an example of that could be investing in an app related to food or banking, or maybe you are investing in an app which is going to be quite groundbreaking in the crypto world. On a different level, this opposition from Mercury and Mars in Scorpio in your 8th house to Uranus in Taurus in your 2nd house could see you looking into long-term planning for the legacy that you want to leave. And I say that because Uranus rules over your 11th house, which represents your legacy. It represents what you are going to do, 10, 15, 20 years from now. Or if you are at a retirement age, this could be around the corner for you. Maybe this is a plan that you've had for a while, which now needs a bit of tweaking, or perhaps you need to act on this really suddenly. Now, on the 19th of November, we will see a full moon eclipse in Taurus at 27 degrees, and this will be in your 2nd house. Just a little note on eclipses. They are essentially full moons on steroids. So you are going to be feeling the effects of this eclipse about 4 to 6 weeks before the eclipse, and certainly 4 to 6 weeks after, especially because we will be backing this up with a total solar eclipse in December. So the whole month of November, you may be feeling quite restless or quite emotional, and because this is on the Taurus Scorpio axes, which represents your physical stability and your financial stability and your emotional security and stability, you may feel like the ground is sort of shifting beneath you. So with eclipse energy, we may be feeling quite tired, quite fatigued. We could be feeling unusually emotional at this time, and things can just happen really quickly, especially 10 days before or 10 days after the eclipse, which once again is the 19th of November. So with this eclipse in your 2nd house, this represents a powerful ending taking place with regard to one or more of the following. A difficult family situation, okay? Like I mentioned, the 2nd house is connected to our lineage and our familial traditions. So maybe there's some kind of long-standing disagreement that you have had or discord that you've experienced with certain family members, and now this can come to a close very quickly. Now, you may be receiving a valuable or a possession which you've wanted for a long time, which is connected to your heritage. Even if you don't have family around you anymore, or if you're not even in communication with your family, this could be to do with your cultural roots. It doesn't necessarily need to be a family member handing something to you. On a different note, you may be parting with a valuable or a possession which holds sentimental value to you, and this could be sort of like a marker in your personal book or chapter in life which says, okay, this is the end of an era if I'm going to be parting with this valuable or possession. Now, the second house, of course, rules over our finances and our resources. So there could be the end of a financial stream of income that is taking place for you. And the second house rules over what we eat. So perhaps there's going to be a permanent change in your eating habits, or a permanent change in diet, or perhaps smoking, given that the second house rules over anything that we ingest and it rules over the mouth. Lastly, with this full moon eclipse in your second house, you may just be releasing some kind of emotional baggage that you've been carrying with you. And I say that because the second house is connected to our memories. The second house rules over anything that we store. It's like our memory bank, okay? So if there's something which was quite traumatic that happened to you, whether this was in your childhood or at any stage of life, if it's been weighing heavy on your heart, this full moon eclipse can see you having a powerful psychological, emotional, and energetic release of these things. Something which just came to me now is that the second house rules over our voice. Okay, and given that we pulled the Nightingale card right at the beginning, which is connected to your voice being heard, maybe this full moon eclipse in your second house will see you finally being able to speak out about something which you have been trying to build the courage up to doing for a very long time. And this could certainly involve family members. And I say that because Venus, which is the ruler of this eclipse, will be in Capricorn. Now, this full moon eclipse will actually be making a trine to Pluto in Capricorn in your 10th house. So Pluto represents anything which is secret in nature and anything which has had a power or a hold over us. Because the ruler of the eclipse is in Capricorn, which represents the father in astrology as an archetype, perhaps there's some kind of familial tradition or cultural tradition which you have felt has been holding you back. Now, with Venus being in Capricorn, we can analyze this as Capricorn being an authority figure or having a very strict view or hold on the things that Venus rules, like money, values, relationships, your taste in something. And it also represents the 5 senses. So this full moon eclipse on an emotional level and on a psychological level can see you actually breaking free from these traditional values that have either been imposed upon you by your family or by your culture, or perhaps these are the strict rules that you have been adhering to that somewhere along the way, you implemented for yourself. So you can now feel a powerful release when it comes to dressing how you want to dress, eating what you want to eat. Maybe you are now having more freedom in your relationships with who you want to date, especially because Venus rules over your 7th house of one-on-one relationships. Maybe you are saying no to your family helping you financially. Okay, so this would obviously tie into this powerful ending when it comes to a financial stream of income. In any case, Aries, I see this as basically paving the way for something new and exciting, which is going to come in once we see this total solar eclipse in Sagittarius in your 9th house take place the following month. And so Aries, that's all I have for you for November 2021. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your November 2021, and I will see you guys next month.